Stampers, this is Marie Bennett with the March 2015 edition of Paper Pumpkin Thank You video. This paper pumpkin was kind of a smaller size card intended as to be used for invitations or birthday cards or thank you cards, and it's called Sew You, and you can see that on the card is a sewed image of the word you. And so for my thank you gift, I've tried to find other ways for you to use this idea of the sewed image. I'm going to be showing you two cards that you can make using this Sew You theme, and also using stamps from other paper pumpkins that you may or should have in your supply. So we're going to be using the happy image, the happy part of the happy birthday from the December paper pumpkin. And then for this card, using that same Sew You theme, we're going to be using this image from the November 2014 paper pumpkin stamp set. So if you want to gather those things up, that would be a good thing. And we're also going to be using the Lost Lagoon ink, your Cherry Cobbler ink, and then of course the basic black that came in your current March kit. In addition, we'll be using the happy birthday image from this stamp set that came with this month's paper pumpkin. Okay, some of the other tools that I've used to make your thank you pack are this this punch. I can't remember what it's called, but it punches out this like spiral, maybe that's what it's called, the spiral punch. It punches out this spiral notebook type design along the top of the paper. I'm also using some Designer Series paper from a pack called Back to Black, and I'm also using little two buttons, this little Lost Lagoon button and this silver metal button, and some Lost Lagoon seam binding ribbon. So that's the basic supplies, and you'll be getting all of those supplies in your thank you pack, except of course for things like the punch. Okay, the first step in making this card was I used that conversation bubble stamp and the basic black, and I stamped a bubble. And then the next thing I want to do is stamp this happy birthday greeting in the bubble with my Lost Lagoon. So I'm going to try to get it right in the right place. A little push, and there you go. Happy birthday in the conversation bubble. Now, I believe that the Stampin' Up! Makes a framelit for this bubble, but I don't happen to have it, so I'm just going to cut this out. And you don't have to cut right on the line. You can if you want to, or you can just leave a little edge around there. Remember, it's a handmade card, so if it looks like you cut it out by hand, I guess that's okay. In fact, that might even make it better. Okay. So I'm going to set that aside for right now. My conversation bubble is done. And the next thing I want to do is to put this, let's see if I can get my original card. I need to put this image you on this banner-shaped piece of card that is in your kit, your thank you pack. And the way I do that is I figured out where I wanted to go, and then on the back I kind of traced where I need to put the paper right here. So next thing I'm going to do is tape it on. Pardon my arm. Tape it on like that. And then I'm going to use just a black pen with a real fine point. And I'm going to just put dots on this paper. One dot in every hole for the word you. I finished that. Now I'm just going to pull the tape off, and you can see that the word you shows up in little black dots. Okay, the next thing I'm going to use is my Lost Lagoon Stampin' Write marker. And if you don't have these Stampin' Write markers, you can use a colored pencil, or you could just use a very fine point marker. But if you're going to be doing card making, these markers really are one of the very basic tools. So they're available at my online store, blackberriesandcream.net, and then choose the Shop Now button. That will take you to the Stampin' Up! Store 24 hours a day. So these supplies really are very basic for most of the projects that you're going to do in card making. Alright, so now I'm going to use these markers. They have a pen point tip, which I'm going to be using, and they also have a paintbrush tip. So if you have these markers, you want to store them flat, not up and down like this, but flat, because that allows both ends of the marker to remain moist. These are watercolor markers. So I'm just going to connect the dots, and I'm going to go one dot and pick up my pen. One dot, and so it looks as though I sewed it when I'm finished. Looks like I went from hole to hole, and it just imitates the look of thread. Okay, so now I've finished that, and you can see that it almost does look like I sewed that with blue thread. The next thing we're going to do is create the front of the card on this piece of Designer Series paper. So we're going to get it all of this put together before we glue it on the card front. Okay, so using my snail adhesive, I'm going to adhere this fairly close to the bottom of this, centering it right on this Designer Series paper. Okay, the next thing I need to do is the button and ribbon. So I want this ribbon to be fairly straight across at the bottom, and then to create the little tail look, I just snip with my scissors right up the middle of the ribbon, and then come in from both sides, making a V. Okay. Then the next thing I want to do is estimate where I want this to be on the card. So I kind of like it over on the edge, and I'm going to want it to have a little bit of a bulge at the top. And so then what I want to do is cut it. I don't have to cut it off, but I think I will trim it off a little bit. And then just using regular tape, I'm going to tape this tail onto the card. As you can see, this paper has designs on both sides. So if you don't like that design, you can turn it over and use the back. Alright, so I'm just going to tape this on here and hold that in place. And then in your kit you should find, in your kit you should find a little transparent square that's got a glue dot on it. And I put this glue dot in there for this ribbon. So just pull off one side, easier to talk about than to do, and stick it on, let's see if I can show you better. I'm going to put it fairly close to the end of this ribbon, like right, oops, sorry, to the end of the ribbon, right about there. Okay, then when I pull it off, the glue spot should stick to the ribbon. Okay, then I'm going to fold the ribbon over and just have a little bit of a bulge at the top, and then stick it down, just like that. Okay, now I need a smaller glue dot, and you should have some of those in your supplies from other paper pumpkins. If you don't, glue dots are available in my online store. They're also available at Walmart or Shopko, whatever kind of a store you've got. Any of your craft stores would have it, Joann's or Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Okay, so this little tiny button has a glue dot on the back, and I'm just going to stick it right there. Okay, like that. Now, the basic card front is finished, and I'm just going to leave it there for right now. We'll put some dimensionals on this later and stick that on, but for right now we're finished with this part, and it's time to focus on the card base. And if you look at the original card, you can see that at the bottom I have stamped happy, happy, happy across the bottom of the card. And I've done that using this happy birthday image from the December paper pumpkin. And if you do have Lost Lagoon, so you can use your Lost Lagoon ink pad and just ink up the word happy. Or if you have a marker, you can use the paintbrush end of the marker and color the word happy by just sort of painting right over the top of it. Sometimes this takes a little bit of time, especially if you're using more than one color to do a stamp, but we're just doing the one. So I probably don't need to huff on this, but I'm going to just huff on it like you're cleaning your glasses, and that will re-moisten the ink. And then I'm just going to put the image right here where I want. So I put the image right where I wanted at the bottom of the paper, and then I'm just going to repeat that 2 more times. Okay, so now it says happy, happy, happy. And I have scored the card at 5.5 inches, so the dimensions of this card are 4 1/4 by 5.5. And the next thing we need to do is adhere this piece to the card base using snail adhesive. I like it a little bit cattywampus, so I'm going to do mine like this. You can do yours however you want. Okay, and then the final step is to put some dimensionals on the back of the word bubble. I'm going to use 3. And then I'm going to put it right like this. There you go. Happy birthday to you. The card is finished. And then I've also sent you an envelope to go with your card. I keep the card and the envelope together. Then when I need them, I've got them both. Okay, we'll move on to the next card. Okay, inspiration for this card was found on Pinterest. If you're like me, you spend hours on Pinterest. And I saw a card, or 2 cards actually, by Sandy Fleming. And if you look here, I think you can see her 2 cards. And what she did is she flipped the U part over and then covered up part of the J and made joy. And she did that with both cards, making a really pretty Christmas card. And an Easter card. This one says Easter joy. I know you can't see it very well. That's the best I can do with my iPhone. Anyway, I thought, what a cute idea. And instead of using the actual little card, what I did was, in the same way I imitated sewing you, I'm also going to imitate sewing joy. So I put this sunburst on the back of the sentiment, and then just tape it in place like this so it doesn't move around. Okay, so now I'm going to use my pen just like I did when I was doing you, only now I'm just going to make the J-O-Y. So I'll be back when that's done. So there I have made the word joy using, I didn't quite get a couple of those letters. I'm going to do those real quick. But I've made the word joy using this same sentiment that I used to make the word you. So I can use this over and over and over, and I will. Now, just like I did with the Lost Lagoon marker, I'm going to go dot to dot and draw in the word joy to make it look as though I had sewed it on there with needle and thread. If you wanted to, you could actually sew it with needle and thread. I believe it looked to me like just regular embroidery floss that came in the Paper Pumpkin kit. So if you wanted to really imitate the look of sewing, then get some embroidery floss and make the word joy. Okay, now I finished my joy, and I'm going to use the snail adhesive to adhere this Whisper White sunburst to the center of the silver foil sunburst. Just get it as close to centered as I can. Alright. Next thing, let's fold our card base, and using you're going to need your designer series paper, and you're going to find the center of it with your chevron ribbon and then adhere it to the back. I'm just going to use regular tape for that since it won't show, and I think that the regular tape I don't know how much more complicated I can make this. There we go. I got this nice grid paper here. Why don't I use it? Good plan. Okay. So I'm just going to tape my chevron tape right on there. Cherry cobbler chevron tape. Okay. Now, I want this chevron to be toward the bottom, or the starburst to be toward the bottom of this Designer Series paper. So about like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere it using my snail adhesive. Center it and have it toward the bottom so it looks like it's hanging, I guess, was my theory. Okay, then the next thing is going to be to stick this to the card base with snail adhesive. Oops, no, thought I ran out. And I'm going to leave about a 1/8 inch border all the way around, like that. Okay. Now, as you can see, we're getting very close to being done. So what I'm going to do now is figure how far do I want it to hang down. So I think about here. If I cut it straight across, like that. And then using the guide right up the middle, make a little notch. Okay, just like that. So now I need another glue dot, and you should have another one in your packet. Okay, I'm just going to stick this glue dot on there. Bring this ribbon straight down as much as I can. Okay, and then one more glue dot to the back of this button. Put the button on. Alright, now the only thing left, looking at the original card, is to stamp the image in the middle of your oval, and using dimensionals, put the oval on the card. So I'm using my Cherry Cobbler ink, and I know you have Cherry Cobbler from past Paper Pumpkins. If you don't, use the brush end of the marker I included in your thank you pack, and that will work too. Okay, I'm going to put 3 dimensionals on this as well. You could use 2. I kind of like mine just a little bit off to the side. There. Wishing you all the hope, wonder, and joy that the season can bring. And then I also included a card liner for you to put on the inside of your card, and if you wanted to, you could stamp like an image of a snowflake in here or something like that, or the word joy if you've got a joy stamp. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this Paper Pumpkin thank you pack. I do appreciate having you as a Paper Pumpkin subscriber. If you're not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, then click on the link below this video and join in the fun. Till next time, thanks. Bye.